Space travel, because of its high profile and expense, has been highly publicized ever since the space race began during the Cold War. NASA estimates that the average space shuttle mission costs $450 million. Space.com says it's closer to $1.6 billion. Either way, every delay of a shuttle mission costs Americans about $1.3 million per day, and each pound of space cargo costs roughly $20,000. Over the last 40 years, there have been many failed launches of space shuttles, rockets, satellites, telescopes and rovers exploring the vast expanses of our universe. Here are the most expensive failures. Number 10. Japanese spy satellite malfunctions. A rocket carrying 2 spy satellites, reportedly being used to watch North Korea, malfunctioned during takeoff and had to be destroyed. The H-2A rocket was meant to be a cheaper and more reliable alternative to its predecessor, but encountered more than a year of problems before this crucial breakdown. Japan lost $78 million in 2003. Number 9. A satellite carrying a probe and a telescope disintegrates in Earth's atmosphere. The Orbiting Astronomical Observatory carried the world's largest telescope, but a 12-foot-tall protective cone did not function correctly and was probably why the satellite didn't make it through the Earth's atmosphere. The American program lasted from 1966 to 1972, and at the time, it was the most expensive satellite ever built. NASA lost $98.5 million in 1970. Number 8. Russian probe stranded while orbiting Earth. Russia's Zenit 2SB rocket held a probe that was supposed to travel to one of Mars' moons, Phobos, and collect dust samples. The rover, Phobos Grunt, which reportedly had many parts based on decade-old technology, became stranded and lost while orbiting the Earth. Russia claims that a U.S. radar satellite interfered with the rocket and caused it to crash in South America this past January after 2 months in orbit. Russia lost $170 million in 2012. Number 7. Math error doomed a Mars orbiter. Lockheed Martin engineers calculated a crucial spacecraft operation with the English numeric system, while NASA's team calculated the operation with the metric system. As a result, the spacecraft went way past the surface of Mars towards the Sun. NASA lost $125 million for building the orbiter in 1999. Number 6. Russian communications satellite lost in space. A Russian Proton rocket launched in August 2011 with communications satellite Express AM-4 inside it. Once it got into orbit 24 hours later, it veered off course and became lost in space. All the Russian ground control and US space surveillance teams could see at that point was the small part of the rocket that carried the once promising satellite out of the Earth's atmosphere. Russia lost $300 million in 2011. Number 5. South Korean satellite burns in atmosphere. A satellite launched from South Korea's first ever rocket missed its designated orbit and disintegrated in the Earth's atmosphere. The weight of the rocket was miscalculated, and so it didn't have enough thrust to reach orbit. Its speed unexpectedly fell, and the satellite tumbled back down towards Earth, where it burnt up in the atmosphere. Korea lost $385 million on its first satellite and rocket in 2009. Number 4. Climate satellite fails to reach orbit. NASA launched a $424 million satellite called Glory that would track the Earth's climate in March 2011, but problems were encountered as the Taurus XL rocket went into the atmosphere. The rocket's numbers cone failed to separate, and the rocket likely fell into the Pacific Ocean. NASA lost $424 million. Number 3. A Soviet rocket and a space station fail within 1 month of each other. A Soviet rocket carrying an electric moon roving robot crashed into the Pacific Ocean just a month after a $500 million Salyut space station failed. It left doubt whether the US would be able to sustain a space program without similar losses. Soviet lost $500 million on a space station, $100 million on a space rover, and at least $60 million to $70 million on the rocket carrying the rover in 1973. Number 2. Space Shuttle Challenger explodes on liftoff. Just 73 seconds after launching on January 28, 1986, the American Space Shuttle Challenger exploded in mid-air, ultimately killing all 7 crew members. The abnormally cold temperatures combined with faulty equipment caused the tragic explosion. NASA lost $5.5 billion in building costs. Number 1. Space Shuttle Columbia breaks down re-entering Earth. After a 16-day scientific mission orbiting the Earth, Space Shuttle Columbia broke up as it entered Earth's atmosphere on February 1, 2003. All 7 crew members died as debris of the oldest shuttle in the NASA fleet reportedly spread throughout Texas. NASA lost $13 billion in building costs.